In this video, I'm going to talk to you about three key decisions that you make daily that shape the offers that you end up getting, shapes your trajectory. And most people don't know they're even making these decisions. So here's what I've identified from my most successful clients from what has to be present in order for you to hold your position, stay committed to the direction, and stay committed to the vision that you have. So when I start working with clients, I ask them, like, what is your ideal situation? What do you want? What is the offer ideally that you want? We make those decisions beforehand as far as what salary they're willing to accept and what it is that they want. So we have to start with that. And then from there, along the course of the journey, we need to make specific decisions when things happen because things always happen. So we need to expect things to happen and then make our decisions ahead of time so that we are prepared for the journey, so that we see it through and you end up getting that offer that you wanted. The hell yes offer, the one that you didn't have to negotiate, you just wanted to, or the offer that you get everything you wanted. So fully remote, the six figures that you wanted, the bonus that you wanted, everything that you actually wanted. So we need to stay the course. And that is the most difficult thing for people to do. So the first decision, the silent decision that you make when you're going through a journey like this is what you decide about companies, about hiring teams, about the marketplace when you get a rejection, right? So if you get a rejection and this is the decision, is like you have a choice to think, what are you going to think about that rejection, right? And most people will try to tell themselves a cliche, but they'll be really disappointed and they'll tell themselves maybe something about the external environment. So they'll say something to themselves like, nobody's hiring at my level right now, or there's just too much competition. Like the landscape is too competitive. Other people are better than me. They will tell themselves that they might just not be able to get it. They might just not be cut out for the role. And then they make that, like what they make that rejection mean. Other things they might make it mean are, it was me, it was something about me, it was my skills. I couldn't do the role. They didn't understand me. They didn't get me. These are thoughts. These are sentences. And that is a decision to think any of those things. And so when you think those things, you end up spiraling and you end up in that state for longer, that disappointed state, that state that keeps you down for longer. And so what successful people do is they immediately take that rejection and they make a decision, a very intentional, powerful decision to think about it as neutral. So they think about it as a neutral set of data points. And instead of feeling disappointed, dejected, hopeless, or discouraged, they immediately feel curious. They feel curious about what they didn't say, what they didn't communicate that needed to be communicated. And they get into thinking about that. And they get very intentional about troubleshooting that specific thing in their mind. So all the energy is now going to the emotion of curiosity instead of the emotion of disappointment, dejectedness, hopelessness, discouragement, disheartenedness. It's going into curiosity. And that is a much more powerful money-making emotion, right? Because the time when the ultimate results happen in these times, like when you get a rejection or when something doesn't work out, that is when the money is made, is in those times and your ability to navigate those times. So decision number 2 is what you decide to think about yourself when you get a no, when something doesn't work out. So the first decision is what you decide to think about companies, the market, the hiring manager who interviewed you, what you decide to think about them and that situation and the external conditions. And then the second is what you decide to think about yourself. So most people, again, they'll go to there's just too much competition. I'm just not cut out for this. Maybe it's me. I can't interview well. That's a big one. I'm just not good at interviewing. I just don't like talking about myself. A lot of people will think, their uncoached, untrained brain will think, I know I have value. I just can't seem to convince people of it. And that leads to the emotion of frustration and spinning and looping and hopelessness. Because if you believe that, if you think, I know I have value, but I just can't seem to convince anybody of it, then you will start to feel hopeless and frustrated, right? So what successful people do instead is they don't make that mean anything about themselves, right? And they make a decision very intentionally to believe something different. So instead of spiraling and thinking, I'm just gonna feel bad about this, and this is just maybe not meant to be for me. That's another one. They think maybe this is just not meant to be. They have to relate to themselves in a way that separates them from the circumstance. So maybe you didn't get maybe the interview didn't land. And so the temptation is to spiral and to believe maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I'm in the wrong field. Maybe I should change what I'm doing. Maybe this isn't going to work, right? But then you end up robbing yourself of the opportunity to decide how you're going to think about that very intentionally. So when you think about it in a neutral way, when you think about it, okay, what am I going to think about myself here? You can think about it as your opportunity to rise up into a new level of thinking, into a new way that you can access information from yourself, from your own brain, from your own resilience, from your own brilliance in a way that you haven't before. And that requires rejections to happen. That requires you to go through situations where things don't work out for you. I had a client who got 50 no's. She got 50 no's on her through her interviews. And that was actually one of the challenges that I posed to her. I said, go get 50 no's. Like, your goal is just to go get people to say no to you. And that goal, if you love setting goals and you like to hit goals, she did that. She didn't actually make it to the 50. She got the offer and she doubled her salary and she got a Salesforce position, doubling what she was making before. And she stayed in it. But with every no, she made a very intentional decision to come up with stories about the situation that served her. So the stories were similar to what I said before in the first decision, which is what is actually true about this interview situation. What can I learn here, and how can I actually use this? So this is resilience. That is what it's called. And like I said, this is when the money in your future trajectory is in these times. Okay. And this is what makes the difference between someone who is successful and ends up with that offer, that really big offer that they don't have to negotiate, that hell yes offer, versus the people who keep staying stagnant for years and then end up just accepting a low offer because they believe that's all they can get. And then that's just how they make the decision to think, it's me, I'm not good enough, maybe I can't do it, maybe it's the market's just not going to pay me this much. Those are intentional decisions that you're making with your thinking. They're not ultimate truths, because we can always show evidence of the opposite happening. So the third decision is what you decide about your next steps when your progress seems slow or non-existent. So it's tempting to second guess your plan. It's tempting to say, okay, maybe I should just take a lower offer. Maybe I need to revamp my resume again. Maybe I need to change fields. Maybe I need to do something different. But here's the thing. You need to actually make that very conscious decision to stick to your approach, but keep adjusting how you show up. So you want to adjust the course, the route, but you don't want to adjust the destination, because you can tweak what you say in an interview, you can tweak how you show up, but you don't want to be tweaking the standard that you have, right? That's the problem that people have, is they lower their standard. and they think they have no choice, or the thought is, I have no choice, it's just how it is, like based on the first two decisions that are made, is the market is slow, it's very competitive, I'll never get this job, this is not meant for me, or there's something wrong with me, maybe I can't do it. Those intentional decisions cause you to lower your standard and lower your goal, right? And intentional work needs to be done in order to hold you to your standard and to your goal, right? And that's why the clients in my program, when they win big, because they are holding themselves to that standard. And it's important. You need to sometimes be in a container that holds you to your standard. And you can see other people actually getting it to that point, and you see that happening again and again, then you will be able to see that you can also do that too, and that is actually how it works. Because if you don't, and you're just looking and scrolling on LinkedIn, your brain will start to see those things as truths, right? As people are searching for years, they're not getting anything, another lowball offer, they can barely afford to live, blah, blah, blah. That stuff is contamination, right? Because my clients, they're landing hell yes offers. They're creating things for themselves based on the decisions that they are making every single day. The way that they are setting up their thinking for success is creating what they end up accepting, what they end up getting, what they end up attracting, how they end up advancing in their careers. Because these same decisions apply when you want to get promoted, when you want to get the next salary band, when you want to move up and do more responsibility, take on more projects, become a VP or a director. These decisions apply because we're always going to be facing some kind of adversity, whether that's rejection, whether that's just your boss brushing you off when you ask for something, whether that is you failing at something that you thought you were going to succeed at, or whether that's somebody pulling the rug out from under you. It's not about any of those things happening because we all deal with those things. It is about the decisions that you make when these things happen, when you experience these, and how you move through them and how fast you move through them. So how you treat your career goals and what you're willing to do when the progress feels slow. So when you have gone through a time when you haven't had many interviews, or any interviews haven't been coming through at all, or you've had a few rejections in a row, or if you're in a job and you want to get promoted, your boss has brushed you off a few times, or when these things happen, it's like, what do you decide about your next steps? So when I doubled my salary and moved up the ranks from receptionist to HR manager. And I was told no lots of times along the way. I was told no for different reasons. I was brushed off. Each decision that I made as to how I thought about that no and how I responded and what I did from there is what allowed me to then move into that position of HR manager and break through that ceiling without any college degree. I did not finish college. I did not have any certifications at all. It was based on purely this decision-making protocol. So are you tempted to water down your vision? Are you tempted to lower your standards? Are you tempted to chase a new shiny object that's maybe a job posting that you're not super excited about, but you think, oh, maybe it's maybe I could just give it a try. Maybe I should see how, maybe I should just apply for that. Or you can make the decision to double down on the result you want and get creative in your approach, not desperate in your decisions, because when you get desperate in your decisions, that's what causes you to spiral. That's what causes you to do all those things that lead to lower offers, that lead to lowering your standards, that lead to more complaining with people who are also struggling instead of getting yourself into a room where people are succeeding. Okay, instead of making a step, making a change to up-level yourself versus stay where you are. So questions for that decision are, what am I making this mean? And who am I when I'm not questioning this decision? Who am I when I'm not questioning these decisions? Like when you're not questioning that there's a job out there for you that is exactly what you want. And just as I'm recording this video, 3 of my clients landed 6-figure offers and they shared on the call yesterday. And One of them sent me a DM, two of them did, and they stood firm in their decisions. Okay, so they've gone through this decision making protocol. Basically, they have embodied what I'm talking about here, and so and they had to decide that this was still happening regardless of their setbacks, regardless of the things that happened along the way. So, what are you deciding that these things mean? What are you deciding when these things happen? So, if you want more tools to navigate the job hunt, if you want help, if you want sturdy support that allows you to hold your position, stay committed to the one direction you're going, and stay committed to your big vision, you can access my free 3-day series. You can click below to get that. Subscribe to this channel and give me a thumbs up if you like the videos, and give me a thumbs down if you do not like the videos, and leave me a comment, preferably a nice one. But if you have mean comments, they will still help my engagement. So thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.